11th Annual Center Awards Day. A special welcome to the families of the award recipients. This is a day when we review the events of the past year and honor those amongst us who have given that extra effort toward achievement of the center mission. At times like this, it's important to remind ourselves of the mission of NADC. If you read the charter, you will find that our mission is to be the principal research and development center for aircraft systems, less weapons. Stated another way, the mission of NADC is to introduce new ideas and technology into our Navy's aircraft so that no nation will ever make the mistake of thinking that they can defeat the United States in war. Now, as we sit here at this pleasant crossroads in Pennsylvania, there are young Americans deployed throughout the world as a deterrent to the war that we hope and pray will never come. The locations are exotic sounding. Keflavik, Nadc, Sigonella, Diego Garcia, Lodges, Massawa, Bermuda, Cuby Point, Rhoda, and Kadena. Some of you, in the course of your jobs, have been to these locations. At each of these bases is a stockpile of sonobuoys, the primary device used by aircraft searching for submarines. Every single one of those sonobuoys traces its origin here to NADC. Every ASW aircraft, the P-3, the S-3, the SH-60, and the SH-3, contains a computer or some other major item of equipment that had its origin here at Jacksonville and Street Roads. Just outside the Persian Gulf in the northern Arabian Sea, there's an American aircraft carrier with its destroyer escorts cruising like a giant sentinel on picket duty. And there's another carrier and its escorts conducting a similar vigil in the Mediterranean. From the airborne reconnaissance sensors to the composite components of the F-14 and the F-18 to the advanced cockpit of the F-18 to the aerial refueling equipment, there are NADC ideas and developments aboard each of those carriers. And no matter where he or she is around the world, every naval flight crew member wears a flight suit whose specifications were developed at NADC with personal survival equipment, which now includes laser eye protection in some areas that all came from NADC. But not everyone here at NADC is developing new sonobuoys or advanced tactical aircraft cockpits or working with lasers. But I believe it is the rest of us, and I include myself in this latter group, who do our part by maintaining a workplace where important new ideas can be turned into operating equipment. In the recent year, you heard Bob talk about some of our accomplishments. Two of our members of our team were honored by outside activities for technical accomplishments. In April, Dr. John Smith and his team won the FY87 Office of Naval Technology Top Award for development of a lightweight radar known around the center as HARPS, or the High Altitude Remote Platform Surveillance System. As part of this award, the center received $100,000 for continued work in this area. In June, Robert DeCicco won the Navy Award for Best Independent Exploratory Development, a piezoelectric polymer dipole hydrophone. As part of this award, the center received a $50,000 increase in FY89 research budget. But there have been other accomplishments during the last year that demonstrate that everyone here has a part in the success of this center. Just as the fiscal year began last October, almost a year ago to the day, we underwent a 2-week command inspection by an Inspector General team from our commander in Washington. The inspection was completed with no major discrepancies and several compliments. Not every R&D center can make this claim. In January, our civilian personnel officer, Mr. Ron Young, received the Department of Navy Board of Governors Award for Excellence in Civilian Personnel and Equal Opportunity Management. In April, the Center received the Secretary of Navy Small Business and Disadvantaged Business Omnibus Award for Best Program in the entire Navy. Last year, for the first time, we awarded more contracts to small businesses than we did to large ones. In May, Ms. Carol Taylor Blakey, an electronics engineer in Code 50, received the Philadelphia Area National Equal Opportunity Council Annual Award for Personal Incentive and Equal Employment Opportunity. And some of you, I'm sure, remember that in August we underwent a Navy Occupational Safety and Health inspection and passed with no major discrepancies, which is a tribute not only to the Safety Office, but to all the shops, the labs, and the Aircraft Maintenance Department. In September, Mr. Carlos Falcone from Code 30 received the Hispanic Employment Achievement Award from the Philadelphia Federal Executive Board. And over the last year, 5 areas were reviewed under the CA program and were shown to be so efficient that no commercial contractor could compete with and economically replace our own organizations. The offices and shops that underwent this review and were retained because of their documented efficiencies were the computer operations, the magnetic media library, motor vehicle operations, and the motor vehicle maintenance. From this list, you can see that we've had a very successful year in both the technical and the support codes. Now, the future looks good at NADC from 2 aspects. The first aspect is exciting new programs. We are on the threshold of several new developments. First is in tactical aircraft with the arrival of what is commonly called stealth technology. You saw the first glimpse of what I'm talking about a few months ago when the Air Force released a drawing of the B-2 bomber. And I just heard on the news this morning that the congressman from Nevada is not going to get to release any information on the Air Force's stealth fighter. But within the next year, you're going to read and see much more about stealth aircraft. This center will play an important role in the development of new aircraft materials and flight controls for a new generation of tactical aircraft which will be radically different from anything that's in operation today. Another new development will occur as revolutionary new ways to detect submarines are introduced. Visible changes will be noted by the introduction of the LRACA, that's the follow-on to the P-3 aircraft, which contract should be let within a couple of weeks. And you'll see improvements to the LAMPS Mark III, studies to determine which vehicle will replace the S-3. But what will not be visible will be the introduction of new electronics and a powerful new computer. In addition to these exciting new programs, I foresee a great future at NADC because of the tremendous talent of you, the people of NADC. In truth, you are NADC. You should all take pride in the accomplishments of the past year and look forward to the best year of all, the next one. And now, a man who's going to help make this next year the best one of all, the Technical Director, Mr. Guy Delworth.
Last year, at our annual COTD Awards Day, I challenged you, as I challenged myself, to make the Naval Air Development Center the best R&D center that this nation has. I put that challenge to you again. I want us to be the best R&D center in the United States. And as the captain pointed out, we have the mission, we have the responsibility, and I will go through some of these things later, to give us that opportunity to demonstrate that we are, in fact, capable of becoming the best R&D center in the nation. Some of you that may have been here last year, you may recall that I said to you, don't let the cynics stop you. There will be people that will say, yep, I've heard the managers say we want to be the best, we want to do this, but look what they're doing. I'm going to tell you, and I'm committed to it, and I know my CO is, we are committed to doing our part in helping you to make NADC the best R&D center in the nation. And don't pay any attention to any of the cynics. They're out there. So how are we doing? I'll say in a nutshell, we're doing a good job. We're making excellent strides toward becoming the very best R&D center in the nation. Why do I say that? They're indicators. If you were to review how we conducted our business here at the center over the last year, we did an excellent job. We met the constraints placed on us by headquarters, and I know some of you say sometimes, why pay attention to these constraints? Well, I tell you, you're going to have chaos in the Navy if you don't. You'll read about things like what you've been reading about happening in Washington insofar as procurements are concerned. And we are committed to carrying out good business here at the Naval Area Development Center. Unbilled balance, that's how much money we can have on hand at the end of the fiscal year. We met our bogey of $27-point-something million. Overhead expenditure, some of you probably been a little unhappy with us because we're cutting out some of the pork barrel, I call it, in center-wide support. Well, we have a constraint there. We have a budget we have to meet, and we did that. And one thing that I'm very, very proud of, contracting out. We need industry to help us do our job here at the Naval Air Development Center. But a couple of years ago, we were contracting out approximately 70% of the dollars that came into this center. And many of you were complaining about being contract monitored. Now, I would say, and I don't know the exact number, but my guess is within the last 15 years, the first time we've come to this bogey, we're now contracting out no more than 50% of our work. And that's approximately where we want to try to stay for the future. So you don't become just contract monitors. Managed to pay. We met that bogey. But I'm going to tell you, we paid a price. I should say some of you paid a price. Your promotions were deferred, and we lost a few people, I believe, as a direct result of it. But that is a constraint that we must live within. And as I will indicate to you a little later, we're going to do a lot better about you this year because of some of the decisions that we're making locally, and also we did get a little bit of a plus-up from Star Wars. What are the other indicators? There's no point in this place existing unless we support the fleet. We're not here just to give out salaries or social program. We have to produce products. We have to support our fleet. And if I just review some of the things that we did this past year. Number one, we completed the installation of a synthetic aperture radar system in one of our P3s here. This work was carried on by 50 and Code 90. NADC was very, very successful in this effort, our part that we played. This particular sensor is one of those sensors that we're looking to for the future. It's non-acoustic ASW. A lot of you have worked for many years on ASWAP. We delivered to the fleet an update version of the fast time analyzer system for that, a significant achievement for us there. We completed TechEval in the OSP sonar array. This is our ocean survey program. This is the only brickback program we have here at the center. That means that that program has been approved by the Secretary of Defense to be the highest priority program that we have, as with others that have it, which means we can get priority over others in procurements, parts, and those kinds of things. That's being run by our 40 department, and they're doing an outstanding job there. Code 60 is putting together an F-14D cockpit. As some of you probably know, we have placed these cockpits in our centrifuge to do experiments on spin and constraints for our operators, our pilots. We have a new version of this cockpit now, the F-14D cockpit. Out of Code 30, that's a difficult job they have in Code 30, but Ed Lazaravich and his people have been quite successful in developing a concept of operation for Future Strike and ASUW. Owen Med and his people in Code 70, working with Dave Shemsky, have done an outstanding job on the presidential helos. You might have seen these little helos running around here, but Owen and his people, mainly using in-house resources, have put together a very fine integrated avionics system, and we have delivered. And he was working for a very tough taskmaster down in Washington. The captain mentioned stealth technology. This is an awkward subject for us to talk about in an open forum because it's always a question of where you're going to breach security. These programs are highly classified programs. But I can assure you, based on what I've seen with my own eyes, that this technology is going to revolutionize the way we conduct air warfare. And very significant in bringing that revolution along are quite a few people here at the Naval Air Development Center. Ken Falk, Herb Hefner are doing outstanding jobs in supporting that program. And I might like to elaborate. When I say support, they're not just writing paper and providing program management support for the sponsor. These people are in main line. They are actually performing technical functions. So when we sit around the table to talk about the condition of the program, people look to those two people and the folk that are supporting them to carry out that part of the work. In Code 70, we've delivered a software engineering environment to support the ASP. That's the Advanced Signal Processor. Out of Code 60 have come two significant things that will give direct support to our fleet. They're mundane things, you might call them. Paint, for example. Paint weigh a heck of a lot when you put a lot of it on an airplane. So what Code 60 has developed is a self-priming paint, and they now have it in the Navy. Similarly, the captain mentioned composites. These things can get holes in them. So how do you repair them? To repair them in the fleet, in the past, we've had to have a refrigerated substance to repair them. Code 60 have developed a patching compound that can be stored at room temperature, thus reducing logistic problems out there for the fleet. Also very important, somewhat related to the stealth. We're working on stealth. We probably can surmise that our adversaries are working on stealth. So it's quite a bit of effort ongoing in what we call counter-stealth. One sensor that might be of particular advantage for us is IRST. Our people here at the Naval Air Development Center, I would say, is the leader in the nation now insofar as infrared search and track systems. We completed a critical design review this year, and hopefully by the end of this calendar year, we will have a sensor on board here at the station to develop and expand further. Now, it's great to work on the development issues. Many of our developments, because we are in R&D, may not make it to the fleet for various reasons. But it's also significant for us to go out and take out directly to the fleet to help them. We did that last year. We did it in the area of navigation in the Persian Gulf. We solved some of the navigation problems they have there. There was also another problem. There were missiles over there, if you can recall, and we needed a threat warning system on our LAMPS birds. Our software people here, working in conjunction with IBM, built the capability to give us a warning against incoming missiles. You've heard a lot of talk about lasers. They aren't used to do all nice things, like surgery on the eyes and what have you. They can, in fact, I didn't mean to say that, Gloria, they can, in fact, do surgery on the eyes. And we have suspected that there are people with lasers that go after our pilots as opposed to going after the vehicles themselves. We have, in Code 60 with Gloria Chisholm, have been doing outstanding work in providing inputs to our fleet, goggles, or eyeglasses we would call them, to protect them against lasers. It's been mentioned that a couple of our people received awards in IRID. Those are very, very significant awards for NADC. For those of you that have been around for a long time, probably recognize that NADC over the past years have not been cited as an outstanding place for tech base. That's 6162 and 63A funding categories of work. Well, NADC is at the forefront now in tech base. It is quite significant that the Chico won the Best Paper Award. Dr. Smith won the Best IED program. And this wasn't these awards were not awards that were just passed around from center to center, that is, political or management decisions. They were one of two. And the competition we had, I should say the company we had on the Best IED was NRL. The company we had on the Best IED paper was China Lake, one of our sister air laboratories. So we're very, very proud of that. Tony Madeira, because of his outstanding work in the ASW surveillance, has been able to plus up, as we say, that is, get more money to support the ASW surveillance block that we have here at the center. Our technical programs, I think we had a good year. We could have had a better year. We had a good year. One system that we put out, it came back. But that's a plus for us in one way. The check system, we delivered that system to Pax River to do a test, do testing on in April of last year. But it came back. And it didn't come back because the sponsors say, NADC, you shall take it back and fix it. We saw when the testing was going on at Pax River that we didn't want that system to go to the fleet. So we went to the sponsor ourselves and asked to bring the system back. Mike Saida and his people now are going through it with a fine-tooth comb. When we send it out, it's going to be a good product. And that's what we mean by being the best center. Don't just meet the schedule, don't just meet the budget, although you have to, but you got to get a good product out there to the fleet. Public Works. It was mentioned also that we got to have the environment here in order to do the work that we do. Public Works has had a pretty hard time, but if we stop and look at what they've achieved quite a bit. They've had personnel problems in terms of numbers, and they have a very tough facility. This facility, good part, perhaps everybody in this room except me and a few others, but it's been here since the early 40s. And Public Works, I think, has done a good job fighting the leaks and renovating the spaces for us here. And one outstanding thing that the Public Works officer himself was able to get for us is an anechoic chamber to work on technologies that we have been alluding to. Our procurement function that sometimes don't respond as quickly as we need or want them to perform, but we have an outstanding procurement function here at the Naval Air Development Center. This past fiscal year, we let $185 million worth of contracts. And that wasn't just 2 or 3 big ones, but it were hundreds of contracts. And we do not have any or did not have any outstanding problems, even in this day where everybody is scrambling and pointing fingers about how we do procurement. NADC has an outstanding procurement function. I'm going to ask them to speed things up, do it a little faster. However, don't speed it up so fast that we start stepping all over ourselves and violating the regulations. That's very, very important, that function for us. Our computer department. Years past, our computer department has suffered a little bit of criticism, but I can say right now the computer department is making a tremendous impact across this center, not only providing you with the machines and the computing capability to do the computations that you need done, but using those skills in ADP that they've developed over the years to go into many of your laboratories to help you put together laboratory facilities that are heavily laden with computing systems. Our other support codes on the center have done an outstanding job. I can say here unequivocally, after having been served close to 27 years in the Navy, that we at NADC have outstanding support functions. Our personnel office is a good one. I've had the experience, as many of you know, to work at another center, insofar as what we have here in our general support departments. Now, when we look at the future, what do we have to worry about if we're going to become that best center? First thing we got to do, these jobs that we have on our plates now, we got to do those jobs in an excellent manner. There's no point in talking about the future if we are not taking care of business. If we continue as I have no worries that when we think about it, we sometimes, number one, the imminence in airborne. This was a commitment made by the CMG and our predecessors a few years ago. And I believe we're working in that direction. Let me give you an example. 6 admirals came to visit this center in July. They refer to themselves as Team Alpha. Their job is to look at all Navy ASW efforts. Their job is to get the ASW capability out there that we need to confront the threat that we have today. And the threat that we have today is significantly more difficult than the threat we had just 4 or 5 years ago. And if you look at the CNO speeches, if you've heard some of them, ASW is right at the top. Team Alpha came to NADC because we are the centroid for air ASW. The preponderance of the Navy's in-house ASW work is done here at the Naval Air Development Center. This is what they left us with. We're not interested in you guys building new displays, building new sonobuoys or computers, but what we want you to do is to tell us how to solve the airborne ASW problem. To me, that is a significant responsibility, because what we're talking about, one of the most potent weapon systems ever been built, we at NADC have been asked to solve portions of that problem. And I think Dick Mitchell, Tom Costali, and others working with him, Ed Cotilla, they're doing a good job in defining where we're going to go in support of solving that problem. We're making internal investments in ASW. Our ACP program, our asset capitalization program, this is a bit of discretionary money that the captain and I have. We're putting a good chunk of that money in laboratory facilities for ASW. And I understand here Captain Hemsman is going to be looking at that very, very hard for us. We're getting an increase in tech-based dollars, airborne surveillance. That's due to Tony Madeira. And on the Otto and Dave Panetta, we're going to have a solid warfare analysis function in ASW. We set up Code 30, as you know, twice now in the last 2 years. Now I hope this is the last time we're going to do this for a while. We restructured it, but one of the things that we chartered Otto with and his people, they're going to build a quality warfare analysis function here at the center. TAC Air. That's another strategic thrust of ours at the center. A lot of people work in TAC Air. One of our sister centers give us a lot of competition in TAC Air. But we've carved out the part of TAC Air that we're going after. We're going after the smart end of TAC Air. That is that up front part of TAC Air. Ed Lazaravich with Otto is going to do the warfare analysis for us. Brennan, using the service of everybody on the center, and in particular Owen Med's group in Code 70, going to get some real, honest-to-God TAC Air programs here for us at the center. And I can say we have them. We have a program called Morning After. This is a program that let us fight at night. We're going to have in our laboratory the avionics systems for that program. Dick DeCipio has gotten another outstanding program for us that's going to be in the TAC Air arena. It's a modern approach to airborne avionics. What Dick has sold, and we have money on center today to do this, is to build a core avionics system that can be used across multiple missions. An ASW mission, or an AAW mission, or an AEW mission. That's another outstanding program. And it's not just paper, it's going to be hardware that many of us love around here. You've heard a lot about UAVs, unmanned autonomous vehicles. We have the lead now in unmanned autonomous vehicles under our TAC Air umbrella. We have it in mid-range. We already have a funded program in that. As many of you know from the papers, we've set up a joint project office across all of the services to coordinate UAVs. NADC has been designated the lead for mid-range. NADC has been designated the lead for long-range. That's something like the HAILS program that some of you have been working on, and the ground-based planning and control system. So we have an outstanding position there. The A-12. We mentioned that aircraft before. We now have the lead role for variants of the A-12. That is a significant position for us to be in. And it didn't just happen. It happened because of the outstanding prior work that had been going on in the A-12 program. Tech base is another major thrust. This is the third one. I think NADC has a good, solid tech-based program. We're going to try to continue to grow that. And when the opportunity presents itself, we're going to try to go out and bring in people with the tickets, the credentials, to really do the level of tech-base that we're doing. And as with the other two areas, we're investing in that area. We're setting up a center of excellence in superconductivity under Dr. Williams. And this is a center where we're going to integrate all of our superconductivity activities that we're doing here at the center. Another block that we're going to put into our strategic thrust is going to be run out of Code 60. That's our aircraft and air vehicle design and assessment function. Don McErlin and his people are already making great strides in this area. We recently had Secretary Vought, who came to visit with us a few months ago, to sign an MOU with NASA where we jointly will work the tilt rotary technology. That's the V-22 type technology, where an airplane can all take off pretty much in the vertical, flip its wings or engines, and go as the regular airplane goes. WSA&E under Code 30. It's a tough area for us, but it's needed. We've done systems engineering at the platform level, but we've never attempted to do systems engineering at the battle force, battle group level. That's what SPAWAR is trying to do. We in NADC have not, I would say, played an outstanding role there. But now we're charging Otto and many others of you to help us play an outstanding role in WSA&E. It's important. Not only is it important insofar as from the Navy is concerned, there is a little self-interest here. SPAWAR happened to be our boss downtown. This is SPAWAR's program, and I think the captain wants to support it. Now, these are the business areas. These are the program technical areas that we're going to be thrusting in. We aren't going to get there unless we invest in our people. We had a hard time this year promoting many of you that truly deserve promotions. We will not have that situation this year. This week, and I asked Becker to make sure I could tell you this morning, we've already promoted a number of people. Each of your department heads have been given a budget for promotions. Now, what we will not do, and the captain and I have made this commitment, we will not make you, who's already on board here, pay the price of bringing on new people. That's how it happened last year. That will not happen again to you. Now, that doesn't mean that we can open the floodgate and promote everybody immediately that deserves it. But there will be promotion activities at NADC this fiscal year, and I'm glad to say we've already done so. Facilities. This is a tough place to build facilities. Nevertheless, that's one of our goals. We're going to build for you the facilities that you need to do your work. One of the things that we're trying to do right now is to get the channel building across the street. We want to ultimately buy that facility. It gives us additional parking and significant flow space that we can renovate and make laboratories. We will continue to invest our ACP money into laboratory facilities, and as some of you probably have heard me say, I'm going to be very, very tough when somebody want to come in and buy some more PCs. We're going to put organic capability in these laboratories to do the kind of work that many of you came to NNDC to do. And we have the vehicle. It's our asset capitalization program. To give you a notion of the kinds of monies we're talking about, we will spend close to $15 million by the end of this month. Next year, we will be spending close to $10 million on laboratory facilities here and instruments for you to do your work. Now, in closing, I truly mean it when I say I want to be your TD at the center that's striving to be the best. And I truly mean it when I say let's don't pay any attention to the cynics. I just look at the things that have transpired in the last year. The programs that we got out, the continuing support work we had done on the adverse conditions, we can do it. If we made it through 88, I feel like we can go anywhere. And I ask you to look at these. Some of them I've already mentioned. NADC is the lead on the A-12, the Navy's most important airplane that is developing right now. We're spending over $4 billion on that airplane. NADC is the lead on UAVs, tilt rotary technology, laser eye protection. And we have the best materials laboratory in the Navy when it comes to aircraft materials here at NADC. We're the lead on aircraft sensors for ASW as well as non-ASW. And we clearly have the lead, and it's clearly expected of us to solve the Navy's airborne ASW problem. Aircrew protection. The centroid of that work in the United States Navy is done right there in Code 60, right now. So I say to you, let's go and be the best R&D center. And let's all strive to be recognized as some of our recipients today of our annual award are going to be recognized. And if you buy into the story that we're going to be the best, I'll guarantee you, from the TD's office, I'll do my very best to provide the leadership that is expected of my office. Thank you very much.